Welcome to Kentucky Horsepower, the official podcast of the Kentucky Automobile Dealers Association.
Hi, good day, everyone. This is Jason Wilson, president of the Kentucky Auto Dealers Association, and this is the official podcast of KADA, Kentucky Horsepower. We welcome you to another edition from our brand new studios here. Those of you watching will see our backdrop, a very professional microphone. So we're stepping our game up here in 2025, trying to anyways, and we appreciate you being with us. As we enter the year, we thought it would be good to provide some updates on some things that you've heard us talk a lot about, frankly, over the last 3 or 4 years, and that's electronic titling and registration. So to do that, I have our partners that are working with us on this endeavor and have been from the beginning. And I'm going to start by introducing Zach Newsom of Vitu. He's the Regional Sales Manager that covers Kentucky. I'm also going to introduce Stephanie Riddle, who's the Vitu Account Executive who covers Kentucky, and that's the dealer interfacing side. So I know a number of you watching or listening to this have dealt with those two specifically. And then the other partner we have is LT Slater, and he is the with CHAMPtitles and the head of, I can't read my writing, LT. What does
Strategic partnerships.
Strategic partnerships.
Come on.
Josh, it's the first one of the year, so we're getting going here.
I'm still dazed by you saying 2025. I can't believe
it. I know it is a little crazy when you think about that. But and as a reminder to those who haven't been as engaged in this, so the V2 side of the business is really the dealer interface portion. They're going to be the folks that are into dealerships, getting you all up online and going. And CHAMPtitles is a huge important piece to this puzzle in that they work with the state, the 120 clerks that we have in Kentucky, and ensuring that all this fits together. So obviously they work together, we all work together. And I thought it would be helpful to kind of say, what is the latest where we stand today versus where we started. And I guess I'll start with that. We if memory serves here, we did our first actual electronic transaction in the month of April. And we did several transactions in April. Then we moved to tens of transactions and then to hundreds of transactions. And but with more and more adoption, with more and more functionality, we've increased that. So Zach, let me go to you first. And from your perspective, and what's that growth curve look like from where we were when we were really just sort of piloting a few dealers to now we finished 2024, we're entering 2025. What does that look like? From a transaction standpoint and a dealer adoption standpoint.
Thanks, Jason. As far as the dealer adoption part of it, with the, obviously in April, we started a few with the beta, and every month we've seen continual growth, and special thanks to the beta dealers and things like that helped us in the beginning to get this rolling. But as far as the adoption, it's going really well. And I think a lot of that has to do with support team. We're able to support our dealers. So if there's something wrong, they can literally pick up the phone. They know they can always get a hold of Stephanie or our customer support rep or Jessica. But yeah, some of the things that they really, really like is as far as the onboarding and things like that is the integration with the DMS. It makes it so easy. So there's literally not much typing, entering any data, things like that. And then, functionality, as we've gone from April, I can remember we could barely do anything to where we are now starting the new year. It's pretty amazing. We're working to where we can release liens and things like that. I'd say a great example would be, in Jefferson County, where they were the last to come on, and we were all worried because it was so big and everything like that. But they've really taken that on well, Jefferson County, because they're probably our leading as far as transactions, the counties. I mean, they're really putting them through. So really excited, but looking forward to the next year, and just want to remind everybody, if you're interested in coming on, get your application, reach out to us. We are excited to bring you on, and we're currently scheduling out for for January right now. So
Yep, all great points as we continue to grow, and there's greater and greater adoption of this. Stephanie, you're really boots on the grounds. I know your travel to a number of the stores are a big part of the implementation. what are you seeing, and from when this started to where it is today, as far as implementing and staff training and whatnot? Have you seen that improvement? It's gotten much easier, and you know, to get that really up and rolling in the stores.
Well, since we launched in April, the transitions that we made have just been huge, transaction types, and just overall acceptance of the program. The system is very user friendly, which is some of the feedback that we get from our dealerships, our title clerks, as we complete their installs. And we just continue to make every effort to take any user feedback to grow from there, and provide any services that the title clerk would need to process all Kentucky transactions.
Yeah, and it really is important. Look, as a reminder again to those that have been paying closer attention than others, or have sort of been following this from a distance. V2's in several states throughout the country. They deal with some of the largest states in the country. And so there's a wealth of experience and knowledge there to help dealers make that transition, going from, I don't know, the horse and buggy days to the way we've been doing in Kentucky for many, many years, to now to actually be able to process electronically. And, we finally have gotten to that point. LT, let me bring you in on this, because you're seeing it from the other side, and in working with the clerks, and in working with transportation cabinet, all those things. And Zach touched on it, but talk a little bit more about the functionality. I know there's a lot more things that can be done today than could be done months ago.
Absolutely. I think when we launched the system back in April, the functionality was somewhat limited, and we had some great beta dealers who raised their hand and said, hey, we want to be a part of getting this system to where it needs to be in order for all the dealers in Kentucky to be able to benefit from the services that it allows. And I think between our communications with the clerks, our communications with the transportation cabinet, the partnership that we've got with V2 and with CADA, we've been able to identify the enhancements that needed to be in place in order for the system to really be robust enough for it to manage all of your title work. And I think that in large part we're there. I think we've added some things that were very significant throughout the fall. I think from the dealer side, the functionality is where we want it to be. I think that given the history of technology deployments in Kentucky, there had been some legitimate skepticism on the part of the dealers to grab a hold of something right out of the gates. I think there was some skepticism on the part of the clerks who've been waiting for certain technologies to be rolled out for long periods of time. And I believe that we've developed a high level of trust on both sides, because what we have delivered has been performing quite successfully. So I think there's still one more big piece for us to get concluded, which is the CAVIS integration, which will allow the county clerks to eliminate a step of entering data into the system of record. And when that work is done, hopefully in the first quarter of 2025, it's really going to be a tremendously efficient process, both for the dealer and for the folks who are processing these transactions.
Yeah, and ultimately that's a great point. That's where we're ultimately looking to get to, where we have that seamless transaction. I will tell you, from our perspective at KADA, we get a number of calls and inquiries and just questions in general. And Zach talked to me, a couple months ago. We had a big event with title clerks here, sort of in-person meetings in Louisville that was really well attended. And tell me kind of what your takeaways were from that. And incidentally, we will be doing more of those in 2025, because to get good information, have a good understanding is paramount. But Zach, what was your take of that event, and what were your takeaways?
Really just I think the communication part, I think there was, they obviously had a lot of questions, which was great. I think a lot of them were intimidated at first because they weren't really sure of what to expect. And when they see the system and how easy it is to use, it really helps. And then, some of the other feedback that I've gotten that they really like about our system too, is, they're not writing checks anymore. They're not having to write all these checks to send down to the clerk's office. We collect everything ACH.
Right.
But yeah, it was just I think a better understanding. I think they walked away from that conference just understanding it better and able to answer all the questions.
Yeah, good points. The devil's always in the details on these things. And look, as it relates to new technology, it can be daunting at times, especially when here in Kentucky, the process has been what it has been literally for decades. And now to make that change, you really have to have all the information, all the facts, which is why we have these partnerships with you all and why we at KADA will continue to bring out this information. But in short, I would say the time to jump in is now. The water is lovely. Don't be afraid. It's I think as we talk about sort of these transactions, to give dealers a sense of where we're going. I mean, we're literally almost doubling in transactions month over month over month as people get on board with this program. So, LT, anything you want to add at this point before we kind of wind down?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. The trajectory that we are on is fantastic, and I think the reason that we are increasing volumes in the way that we have is because everything is working terrifically, right? So if you're hesitant about onboarding to the system, I would say, as Jason said, the water is nice. Dip your toes in the pool, and I think you're going to find that it is incredibly efficient. It's incredibly easy to use. Let's not be afraid of change. Change is here for the better, and let's make 2025 the most successful year yet.
Yeah, and I would add one more thing to our dealer friends here that are watching. If you have a county clerk that you work with and is sort of pushing back or resistant to it, to this change on their end, let us know. Feel free to reach out to us, because what we have found is often when we can put that clerk with someone on the CHAMP team where they can talk through misperceptions versus reality, there comes away a better understanding, thus an embracement of this technology versus not sure, unfamiliar, et cetera. So that's the other role we play at KADA. We can be that go-between. So if you're running into issues on that front, whether with it in your own store, and we can make sure the Vitu folks get in there and get your folks trained up, or that your staff has a good understanding of how this works, or on the county clerk side, we can do the same in facilitating with the CHAMP team and doing that. And that's what we've frankly been doing the last several months, and it really has made all the difference. It always comes down to communications, understanding, especially as it relates to new technology. So I appreciate everyone's time here today. I want to thank each of you for joining. So Zach, Stephanie, the Vitu team right here covering Kentucky, LT working behind the scenes on the state side of things. Again, thank you all for being here. Welcome to our first 2025 KDA Kentucky Horsepower podcast in our new facility. So we're excited about that. And we'll see you all down the road.